Joining me now, we welcome back Senator John Barrasso of Wyoming, Senate GOP conference chair. Senator Barrasso, I almost don't know where to start, but I think of all the things seriously wrong with this story is the fact that Bidens have essentially transferred world energy power back to the Saudis and OPEC, which now includes Russia. I mean, world energy power is real power, right? It's political power, it's economic power. 80% of the world is powered by fossil fuels, and they have given the whip hand back to OPEC. And I think that may be the biggest sin of all. What do you think about this?
We're seeing here American weakness at home and abroad. Gas prices are going to go up. You saw it today. They're in over $6 a gallon in Los Angeles. And Joe Biden and the Democrats are guilty of gross mismanagement and negligence in terms not just of energy security, Larry, but economic security, national security. I mean, they have undermined us as a nation, taking us from energy dominance to energy dependence. They need to be held accountable on Election Day. They need to go. And it's because they worship the false god of climate. That's what Joe Biden went after by attacking American energy. Day number one in office with killing Keystone and stopping oil and gas leasing. It's why Joe Biden had to go to Saudi Arabia in the first place this summer. Well, he gave him the fist bump, and yesterday they gave him the finger. And I will tell you, this is our opportunity for American energy. That is the answer on all of this. But right now we have a president who is very weak abroad and at home, and he's brought it to himself because of his policies. You know,
I saw that the National Security Council, National Economic Council put out a joint statement, and they said all this proves, quote unquote, that it's time to rely less and less on fossil fuels. I would reckon that you will draw a different conclusion on this, but I want to add to this, okay? I mean, this is insult to injury. The news report in the Wall Street Journal today says that President Biden is contemplating a complete 100% block on federal offshore leasing and drilling. So I would guess, sir, they have learned nothing, basically, from this whole Saudi experience.
If the president really did put America first, what you would do is unleash American energy. Instead, he announced yesterday he was going to release 10 million barrels from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve from our emergency sources. I mean, they're there for a real emergency. And over the last 6 months, he has released over half of the volume there. We're down to a point where we have only about 20 days worth of emergency supplies. We're at a 40-year low. He's done it in an effort not because of an emergency, but to try to get gasoline prices down. Larry, we're going to have to replace this at some point. And as you said earlier, I heard you on Fox News, we are between 1 million and 2 million barrels a day less production now in the United States than we should be right now, and it's because of policies of this administration. It is time to unleash American energy. We have it. The Democrats want to keep it in the ground. We need to replace them and turn the entire Congress, House and Senate over to the Republicans so we can get the job done.
Yeah, you know, just on those numbers, it's true. Just looking at the Energy Information Agency, or whatever it's called, the Department of Energy, we ought to be at 14 million barrels a day. That was their estimate a couple of years ago. We are less than 12 million barrels a day. And on top of that, Senator Barrasso, as you probably know, we're about 1.5 million gasoline barrels less than where we should be. So we've just essentially handed this over to the Saudis and to OPEC and to Russia. And, you know, I come back to your point on Strategic Petroleum Reserve. That's a very important economic, energy, and national security issue. I mean, we don't want to go back to the Stone Age when there was Arab oil embargoes, or you remember every single OPEC meeting was life and death, hold your breath, financial markets, and the whole economy. We got out of that. during the Trump years, okay? I'm going to, brag on it. We got out of that during those years by being independent and dominant. Biden has given that back, but he seems, this is the hardest thing for me to swallow, he and his people seem to have learned nothing, Senator Barrasso. Nothing. I mean, how easy is it to just turn on the fossil fuel spigots again and pipeline and so forth? How easy would that be?
Well, that's why they call energy the master resource. It powers our economy. It powers our country. It powers our military. That is what we need to have done. The American people get it. They know what they want. They want energy that is affordable, available, and reliable. That's not what the Democrats want. No, not at all. They are so focused on renewable energy, regardless of the cost and regardless of the consequences. And as you talked about in your opening monologue, the consequences of this, of their policies, are you end up going to Iran or going to Venezuela, going to dictators, going to the Ayatollah, asking them, begging them for energy, for oil. Well, as you point out, Larry, they don't do it with the same kind of environmental stewardship we do it here in the United States. And as you saw from the reports yesterday, this White House is panicked.
I guess
they are very, very worried about what's happening, but they don't seem to want to do the right thing because they continue to sabotage what you and I know are the geopolitical greatest power that we have, the greatest power of our economic engine. It is energy. We need to unleash American energy. I think you had John Hoeven on a couple of days ago. He said, take off the handcuffs. Yep. That's what we need to do, Larry.
Yeah, I mean, Rick Perry, you're right. That's what Senator Hoeven said. A very smart guy, your colleague and my good friend. And, last night, Rick Perry said essentially the same thing. Just open up the permitting, for heaven's sakes. Just open up the permitting. What's so hard about that? And I don't understand, Senator, why you have to have one or the other. In other words, why does this administration insist that in order to have greener energy, we can't have any fossil energy? I don't understand that. I mean, I would regard that as a stupid policy. You could have both, all the above, nuclear, natural gas. Those would be the baseline power source. Why? Whoever said in order to get greener, you have to eliminate fossils, which, by the way, will do great harm to our economy, as it already has in inflation and recession, and give the Saudis and OPEC and Russia and maybe Venezuela and Iran more power? Why does it have to be either or, Senator? I don't get that.
And, I'm in Wyoming, an energy capital of the world, and I would say, as with the people of Wyoming, we need it all. The oil, the gas, the coal, the uranium for nuclear power, the wind, the solar, we need it all. And we all want to make energy as clean as we can, as fast as we can, and do it in ways that don't raise costs for the American families. So we need energy security, we need economic strength, we need environmental stewardship. Nobody does it better than the United States. But we have an administration and Democrats in the House and in the Senate who vote in lockstep on this. They don't believe it. But this is what the American people are concerned about. And this is a big part of what this election is going to be about come November, why I think it's so critical that Republicans take back the House and take back the Senate and throw the bums out.
One last thing, Senator Barrasso, the last moments here. I'm looking at the return of these half-baked ideas from left-wing Democrats in the main, that the Justice Department is going to sue OPEC, or we're going to take all of Saudi's weapons away, which would turn them even further towards Russia, things of that sort. In other words, anything but go back to fossil fuels. Is any of this stuff serious? It never has been in the past, but I just wondered what you're thinking. I'm sure you saw the same reports in the papers today.
Yeah, that's not going to go anywhere, Larry. We need American energy. We have it here. We have it in the ground. We have an administration that is committed to keeping it in the ground. It is the wrong approach for America. The American people know better and deserve better than what we've gotten from this administration.
All right, Senator John Barrasso, thank you, sir. We appreciate it, as always.